And away we go. It's just me at the moment. Not sure if Eric's gonna join, not sure if Risk is gonna join, and not sure if a third person is gonna join. Either way, the show must go on. And how will it go on is anyone's guess. Especially, actually, I'll let the episode speak for itself. So, let's see what's in the news for the week, or whatever I'm seeing right now. Novo chops Wegovy prices, but doctors still see affordability challenges for patients. Novo Nordisk has reduced its prices for its weight loss drug, Wegovy, and diabetes drug, Ozempic, to improve accessibility, according to a company announcement. The cash pay cost for the highest dose of Ozempic remains at $499 per month, according to Novo Nordisk. New cash paying patients can access the two lowest doses of Wegovy and Ozempic for $199 per month for the first 2 months. This pricing strategy follows President Donald Trump's agreement with Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly to enhance accessibility to these drugs for Americans. Okay, so all that's something. I'll give them that. So long as it's affordable and there's accessibility, that is all good, at least for now. But then again, as important it is to get access to medication or prescription that's needed for people, who's not to say that there won't be any issues of people trying to get a doctor's note to get these prescriptions and drugs just for the sake of their effects and not because it is required for them to take these drugs or medication to combat whatever illness that they have right now. Simply, I feel like there's going to be people that's going to just get these drugs for recreational purposes and not to treat any medical condition or something that they're going through right now, which by taking such drugs and medication or prescriptions will ease the burden of whatever these people are going through. That's food for thought. It's important that there is some kind of measure to ensure that whoever is getting the drugs and medication are the people that most need it, and not those that want it to satisfy the tendencies or use their effects for their own personal gain, or any other reason that isn't medical related. Barricade jumper who rushed at Ariana Grande at Singapore event given 9 days jail for public nuisance. A man grabbed Ariana Grande at the Wicked for Good premiere in Singapore and was jailed for public nuisance. The man, identified as Wen, has attempted to intrude on the premiere twice before being pinned down by security. Prosecutors sought a week's jail for Wen, calling him a serial intruder who publicized his behavior online to gain popularity. And you know what? Wen it did exactly that. He got what he wanted. Congrats, guys. You gave Wen attention for trying to intrude celebrities, all for the sake of getting clout. Yeah, given the rise of social media, how many people are using social media to look at information online, you can do the stupidest of crap and nonsense stuff, and people will give you attention for it. They'll call you names, they'll say, what on earth is this man doing? A possible third thing. This is the world we live in now. You can get attention, you can become famous for literally anything. And there and behold, there you go. This person is famous for trying to intrude onto celebrities. Not that they're trying to harm them, but they're scaring the celebrities. Like, why are you acting like this? What are you doing? And then people like security or other celebrities close to other celebrities that are being intruded, they intervene, they get involved for the sake of defending said celebrities that are being intruded. Well, firstly, I hope Ariana Grande is all right. I'd assume she is, but still, I don't want to see that happen to other people. And you know what? Wen is still going to continue doing this. He's got his bag. He got his attention. We may thought that he's going to end there, right? Well, you'd be wrong. He's going to continue doing this because that's exactly how he became famous in the first place. And he's going to continue chasing clout until eventually everyone knows who he is and no one could stop saying his name. And no matter how hard people try to not give him attention, someone is still going to talk about it. And again, I'll give him some kind of credit for doing what he did to get attention. It seems simple enough, and he got exactly what he wanted in the end. Trump reverses course, urges GOP to release Epstein files after days of party turmoil. President Donald Trump changed his position on the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files, now urging House Republicans to vote to release the Epstein files. But we have nothing because we have nothing to hide. There has been a public dispute between President Trump and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene over the release of the Epstein files. Trump called Greene a traitor in multiple posts, while Greene responded by telling CNN that the remark is so extremely wrong and could put my life in danger. Support for releasing the Epstein documents has increased among Republicans even before Trump's reversal. Until Sunday, Trump had been lobbying Republicans to block the measure, even summoning some of the White House in the past week to discourage support. Trump's pivot also comes as the House prepares for a high-profile vote triggered by a bipartisan discharge petition that reached 218 signatures last week, a milestone the White House has tried to prevent. There's a lot. There's so much that can be interpreted. People could say, if Trump's not guilty, why? If Trump is so guilty, why would he tell people to release the Epstein files? And on the other hand, people will say that the reason why Trump is saying that, or the reason why Trump is asking people to release the Epstein files now, is because, well, the support for that is already strong enough as it is, and it will continue to get stronger. And no matter how hard he tries to not have them released, they're going to be released anyway. So might as well as say, okay, let's release the Epstein files. I have nothing to hide. And then eventually, if he's found guilty, well, at least he did the honorable thing. At least pushing forward something that even he knew he was going to be fully guilty of. But again, these are the kinds of interpretations that people will have about the Epstein files. Whatever happens, it's going to happen. And whatever comes out of these documents being released, this will change everything. And I mean everything. There is no backing out now. What is anyone to do when these files are to be released? It will be over for anyone involved with whatever Jeffrey Epstein was doing on that island, the poor unfortunate children that were on the island at the time. Yeah, it's all starting to fall into place. Everything's all falling over. Nintendo reveals first look at live-action Zelda film. On November 17th, Nintendo and Sony released 3 first-look images on the Nintendo Today app, showing Bo Bragason as Princess Zelda and Benjamin Evan Ainsworth as Link. And Nintendo said filming has begun, with the film due May 7th, 2027. Following weekend leaks, Shigeru Miyamoto, producer and Nintendo legend, disclosed casting over summer, and Wes Ball director leads the film from a script by Derek Connolly and T.S. Nolan. The images show Link and Princess Zelda in a lush green field wearing costumes with Hylian airs, featuring Link in a signature green tunic and Zelda armed with a bow, with New Zealand as the backdrop. Casting details show both leads are relative unknowns despite credits, with Benjamin Evan Ainsworth voicing Pinocchio and Bo Bragson starring in Renegade Nell. It's unclear if the film adapts one Zelda game, though the look recalls Breath of the Wild. As a live-action adaptation, the film represents a high-profile experiment in translating Nintendo's Hyrule to cinema, following the success of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which grossed over $1 billion. Well, there you go. Now we know why the Legend of Zelda film is in the works. They wouldn't consider releasing such a film featuring Legend of Zelda if they knew that Super Mario Brothers movie wasn't going to do well, which it did. And because it done so well, and so much anticipation for a second Super Mario Brothers movie, now it's got Nintendo thinking, what if we make another movie for one of our Nintendo franchises? And what better franchise to make a movie about other than Legend of Zelda? Now, regardless of which studio is going to be responsible for making the Legend of Zelda live-action film, it'll do pretty well. Not as good as Super Mario, but at least it will get a lot of attention, and people will actually go to cinemas and watch the thing. So it will be worth the budget that the studio responsible put into making the Legend of Zelda live action film. Why am I talking like this? It does not make any sense. The Imperial Pub in downtown Toronto closed its doors after 81 years of business on a rainy Saturday. The pub first opened as a hotel beverage room in the 1940s when men and women were not allowed to sit together under Ontario's liquor rules at the time. Over the decades, the pub became known for its live music, cheap beer, library bar, and pool table, fostering a sense of community among its patrons. Wow, 81 years. What a legacy. Given how it's been shut down, wow, that is very, very sad. Without much history, surely people will send prayers and condolences to anyone who have worked in that pub that it's going to be shut down for good. Very sad. But for the 81 years it's been standing for, it has done pretty well. Very, very well. Sabotage disrupts Poland rail line used for Ukraine aid. On Sunday, reports showed damage was found on the line near Mika after a train operator alerted authorities to irregularities on the Warsaw-Lublin rail route. Polish officials said the act appears aimed at undermining Poland's security and disrupting aid to Ukraine on the crucial Warsaw-Lublin line as part of hybrid warfare tactics. Photos published by rail staff revealed fractured concrete sleepers and a displaced track section, and Polish officials said an explosive device destroyed the railway track. Emergency services, the Internal Security Agency, and prosecutor's office are working at the scene while no injuries were reported and the train with no passengers passed on an adjacent track. In recent years, Poland has detained 8 further suspects and jailed 16 members in 2023 linked to Russia, while Russian officials denied responsibility and NATO plans new eastern flank measures undermined Poland's security. Now, I'm not saying Poland's security is good. Now begs the question, is Poland's security good enough to combat any threat that comes their way? Of course, I've heard Poland's strong stance on immigration, and of course heard about Poland preserving its culture. I think there was more to it, but I think that's about it with Poland. Last time I remember. Oh yeah, I was going to say that Poland's economical status, or at least Poland's economy, is looking pretty good and is on the rise. In fact, I think me and Eric have discussed a while ago that minimum wage in Poland is now equal to minimum wage in most US states. And I say most because there are some states in the US whose minimum wage is slightly higher because, well, it was down to those states. Otherwise, minimum wage in Poland is now slightly higher, if not higher, hands down, than in most US states. And Poland's economical rise is still going to continue to grow, no matter what. So you know what? Good for Poland. It's nice to see Poland doing very well for themselves. And as for the sabotage on the rail line for use for Ukraine aid, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about Poland. The important thing is no one is dead. Everyone is still alive if they were nearby. I don't think they were, but at least people are still alive. Whoever these people are trying to say that Poland's security is not at the high standard, well, they would be wrong. They'd be very wrong. Keep going, Poland. Keep on going. Parasitic ants use chemical weapons to force workers to kill their own queen. On November 17th, researchers reported in Current Biology that parasitic queens, Lasius orientalis and Lasius umbratus, cause host workers to kill their own queen in invaded colonies. Because ants depend on scent for recognition, parasitic queens acquire nestmate odor by rubbing host workers, allowing the evading queen to enter the colony undetected, researchers reported. In one experiment, a Lasius orientalis queen sprayed her victim 16 times in 20 hours, escalating attacks until workers dismembered their queen after 4 days. The invader laid eggs after about 10 days. After matricide, the invader assumes the throne. The parasitic queen is accepted and lay eggs, tended by host workers, and about 3,000 workers emerge within about 1 year. Researchers report this lowest risk during the founding phase. Researchers suspect the strategy may be more widespread. Citizen scientist Taku Shimada first posted the observation in 2021, and the team reported it Monday, marking a first documented case of third-party matricide. So, yeah, talking about breaking the laws of nature, where else is this happening? Could this be the end of ants? No, not really. But dang, the ants killing off their own queen. That's a whole nother level of wrong. At least by the laws of nature. Or maybe this is normal for these particular kinds of ants. Again, I wouldn't know. I'm not an expert on ants. However, that's news to me. First time for everything, you know? US utility bill delinquencies surged nearly 10%. The Century Foundation's analysis found nearly 6 million US households will soon have utility debts reported to collection agencies amid rising energy costs. Rising energy costs have been driven by a 12% increase in monthly energy bills and AI data centers' massive electricity use. The Century Foundation said, while the administration disputed federal responsibility. The Century Foundation said, rising utility debt affects nearly 6 million households amid mixed signals from the Bank of America Institute and the New York Federal Reserve over consumer resilience. Political fallout is immediate. President Donald Trump faces voter pressure over affordability after off-year elections this month, while the White House highlights lower pump prices and rising electricity bills threaten some congressional battlegrounds in next year's midterm elections. Policy debates are intensifying as Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says electricity prices are a state issue this month, while advocates argue federal choices affect long-term costs amid a 3.8% rise in overdue bills during Trump's first 6 months. Again with the AI data centers. Again, begs the question, how much power does AI need to function properly? What if these AI data centers aren't working at all? Would AI not work? I would hope so. It'd be great to get off your phones, go outside and touch some freaking grass. Because, goodness me, AI is taking over our lives. Maybe not our jobs yet, but certainly taking over our lives to some extent. And we're always hearing about AI every now and then. So, blech. But that's just on AI data centers. Utility debts. Now, I'm not a debt expert. However, why put so much debt on the people? How are these people allowing themselves to pay so much money to use power? Because if you have debt relating to utility, I feel like this is a way for the US government to make extra money. It's working, but that's not good. That's not a good thing. Yeah. And people ask, how come the Democrats have won mayoral races and representative seats in the US in the recent midterm elections? Yeah. People still ask themselves that, and yet these issues still rise. This is no coincidence. This is a warning. And I am not supporting one party or the other to do stuff. Yeah, if these issues continue to rise with the current US government right now, don't be surprised if people of the opposing party wins more seats and more mayoral races in local communities in the next few years. Think about that. You really should. You really should. Must be a slow news day today. There's not much I can see. That's Birmingham's Bin Strikes to continue for months, union warns, as industrial dispute deepens. On Monday, agency workers employed by Job and Talent voted to stop their council-assigned roles, with all 22 backing action and gaining legal protection to picket from December 1st. A job evaluation exercise led to downgrading bin lorry drivers' roles and pay cuts, and Birmingham City Council plans to delete the waste recycling collection officer role, sparking ballots and strikes, with agency staff alleging bullying and overwork. Some 275 people remain in dispute, and Birmingham City Council declared a major incident, with contingency plans maintaining one collection a week minimum amid extended strike action. Union chiefs warned rubbish will continue rotting in Birmingham streets for months as the dispute widens, with no doorstep recycling and green waste collections all year, and bins possibly uncollected beyond next year's local elections in May, Unite the Union said. Footage obtained by Sky News showed a job and talent manager warned of alleged blacklisting. Birmingham City Council denied this after investigating, while Unite called agency staff joining pickets unprecedented with no formal negotiations since the summer. Wow, upcoming local local elections in May. Yeah, whoever's running Birmingham City Council, you need to pick up the pace. This is not a good look for Birmingham as a whole. Something has. Where do I go from here? Said I have said my take on just strikes in general. I'm not against strikes. However, you have to ask, does the outcome of the strike become will the result of these strikes make an effort in the decisions made by the employers, and does the negotiated offers surmount to suitable and appropriate pay for the next few years? As in, whatever these strikes are offering, whatever strikes are going on, and what the workers are offering in the unions that they are represented in, are the offers that they're offering be suitable, and will it be able to last for the next 4 or so years? That's just what I. And seems like Birmingham City Council, with its garbage disposal collection, they aren't budging one bit. How long will Birmingham City Council keep going with this? It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good. I'll give them a few months to see if the union workers and Birmingham City Council come to any resolution. I feel it will go into the new year, 2026. But as of this recording, I don't see any resolutions anytime soon in Birmingham. It's going to keep going. Doesn't matter doesn't matter how good of an offer it is for both parties, and no matter how hard union workers fight to get the offer they want, the employers on top, they're not going to budge until their absence in the workforce actually becomes so much of a burden in their sector and for their local communities. That's when they'll agree to something. England win every group game without conceding after Kane's double sinks Albania. England won all 7 of the FIFA World Cup qualifying matches without conceding a goal, including a 2-0 victory over Albania in March. Perfect defensive record. Good for England. I knew England's soccer football team is capable, and they have managed to qualify themselves for the FIFA World Cup. Now, how far will they go in the FIFA World Cup? Quarterfinals? Just my honest opinion. They're good, but are they good enough to win it? That's the question. There's going to be a lot of conversations about England's national soccer football team actually winning the FIFA World Cup. They may have somewhat of a chance, but it's not enough to actually win it outright. Also, somewhat unrelated, there was a episode on The Simpsons. Yes, another Simpson predictions, I know. I remember Homer said, "I'll kill myself if Portugal doesn't win." And that match in the Simpsons episode was Portugal against Mexico. I'm not saying that's going to be the final for the FIFA World Cup that's coming in the United States. The Simpsons has a very, very long history of having moments in all of their episodes that turns out happens in real life a few years later. And everyone's going crazy how the Simpsons are predicting the future. How could they have known that? And I actually had a writer of the Simpsons on one of my podcasts a while back, and I did ask him this question. I I just I actually written the transcript down in the group chat with me, Eric, and Risk. Now, what he said in that podcast episode I did with him, it's nothing too deep. It's just whatever happens, happens. Probably trying to save his own skin just in case. Don't blame him. Well, at this point, I can't be asked about whatever the Simpsons are saying is going to be true in the next few years, and what comes out of the Simpsons. Like Pazuzu, the Treehouse of Horror specials in The Simpsons. Pazuzu in reality became Labubus, and we all know what happens. What happens that from that point? Yeah, everyone's going crazy for Labubus. So yeah, there's that. Goodness me, where did it all go wrong? Or apparently, what gone so right? Barely nothing. Barely. Okay, so there was an Instagram post which I saw a while back where people still use cash, as in physical cash, coins and bills. I will read out the list of names of the countries by the percentage of people in those countries that still do use as cash. We'll start with countries like South Korea, Norway, China, Iceland, and Australia, where 10% of their population still uses physical cash. They don't use credit cards, they don't do digital transactions. It's just people using physical cash on them. And then next few countries with 12% of their population using physical cash: Scotland, England, and Denmark. Interesting. And then 14% we have Sweden, 15% we got New Zealand, Canada, and Israel. Interesting. United States of America at 16%. Countries with 20% of their population using physical cash in their day-to-day lives: Singapore, Romania, the Netherlands, Monaco, Hong Kong, United Arab Emirates, Brunei, Bahrain, and Andorra. 22% of Brazil's population uses physical cash for their transactions. Qatar, 25% of their people uses physical cash in daily transactions. Countries at 30%: Uruguay, Czechia, Taiwan, Switzerland, Saudi Arabia, Saint Vincent and the Grenadines, Panama, Luxembourg, Kuwait, Georgia, and Estonia. Malaysia, with 32% of the share of daily transactions in cash. Nothing digital whatsoever. Countries are 40%. Turkey, or Turkey, depending which one you still recognize the country as. Latvia, Kenya, France, Ecuador, and Costa Rica. The Philippines, with a share of daily transactions in cash at 44%. Poland and Ireland at 45%. Belgium at 47%. Countries with at least half of the national populations using physical cash for daily transactions: Seychelles, Portugal, Oman, Montenegro, Mauritius, Lithuania, Croatia, Cyprus, Cayman Islands, Bulgaria, Botswana, Bermuda, Barbados, Bahamas, and Germany. Oh no, Bahamas at 50%, and then Germany's at 51%. Countries with a 55% share of daily transactions in cash: Hungary, Tunisia, San Marino, North Macedonia, Namibia, Greece, and Belize. Countries at 57%: Spain, Slovenia, and Slovakia. Countries at 60%: Venezuela, Peru, and depending how you call this place, the administrative region of Kosovo, Cape Verde, Japan, Dominican Republic, Chile, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Azerbaijan. Austria has 61% of their people, or has a 61% share of physical cash daily transactions. South Africa and Italy at 62%. Countries at 65%: Thailand, Serbia, Morocco, and Mali. Malta at 67%. I know, just shut up. And of course, again, at 6'9", Nicaragua, yes, people are gonna make jokes about that if people still making jokes about 6'9". But just don't get me started on 6'7". I'm sick and tired of that. Countries with a 70% share of physical cash daily transactions: Vietnam, Ukraine, Maldives, Madagascar, Indonesia, India, Haiti, Colombia, and Argentina. Trinidad and Tobago, as well as Tanzania, at 75% share of daily transaction in cash. Countries at 80%: Sri Lanka, Moldova, Mexico, Jordan, Jamaica, Gabon, Fiji, and Egypt. Countries at 85%: Mongolia, Cuba, Iran, and Iraq. Countries with a 90% share of people using physical cash for daily transactions: Pakistan, Nepal, Lebanon, Laos, Cambodia, and Albania. Countries at 95%: the Gambia and Ethiopia. And at the very top, the country where at least 98% of their people are using physical cash for daily transaction is the nation of Myanmar. So yeah, those are the countries where a portion of the national or territorial population are using physical cash and not using credit cards or any other digital payments. I'm actually surprised at Estonia, given it is a nation so invested in technology. And technology is more than just the standard. It's literally their culture. So Estonia, about 30% of their people using physical cash. I'm surprised by that. I am surprised for sure. Also, I'm not surprised by England and or Scotland because apparently I know people that would rather pay digitally use than to use physical money to buy stuff. So there's that. Now, usually I would continue going on with the episode. However, for some reason, I just feel kind of tired. No, it's not because the sun is going down earlier than it usually does. I don't know, man. Life is it feels weird. Very weird. Nonetheless, that is the episode.